What's up guys, I'm gonna just take a quick second to just take in all of the spoilers that were revealed. I will have the article in the description below for everyone that wants to read up on it, but I'm gonna be focusing on a couple cards. Originally they showed off, the first thing was Lapis's Dark Beast, and it was like a 2 black, 2 colorless beast that was like 6/4. It had like first strike, and when it entered the field, it destroyed a target resonator whose total cost was like 3 or less. Starting from that card, I was already like, oh man, here we go. Everything's going to be kind of mediocre again. We haven't seen anything like too incredible. There's been a couple good cards here and there, nothing really game changing, I guess, except for maybe like Guardian Angel was really good, and the Alice Cyrus Resonator was really good. But the second I saw this beast, I was like, okay, you know, like they're going back to just giving us mediocre stuff. This isn't going to be that great. And then the second card was Lapis's Dark Storm, and this is just when everything got so real. This card is a 2 black chant that says your opponent discards a card at random and then discards a card. So essentially it's Spiral of Despair, but the first one is random and then they pick to discard another one. That's so strong if you're going first. It's even kind of a good catch-up card if time right. If you were to be going second, you can easily deplete your opponent's hand. It's really strong against Regalia decks because anyone that's using Ruler's Memoria is going to start their turn by, like, let's say summoning a 1-drop and playing a Regalia, and if they're going first, that means there's 3 cards in their hand, and if you play this card around your turn 2, it's possible that they have up to like 2 to 3 cards left, depending on if they use the Mana Dork turn 1 or how many cards they're playing, if they're playing more Regalias or something like that. So it's actually really insane to be able to just take out their hands so quickly, and the random card means you're always going to hit something possibly really good instead of just letting them pick like Spiral did. So I'm really excited for this card. The only thing that's a bummer is I believe it's an uncommon, which I would have loved to see this full art. This card would look beautiful full art, but it's just so good. I think it's going to be a little weak against water decks because they draw so much, so it might not be so impactful, but generally this card is so strong. I mean, Lapis had so many slots to fill in his deck now because he lost stuff like Zero, and it was really easy to play green and Lapis too and use stuff like Feet Sing. So if you wanted to play like an all black Lapis deck with like Moon, you didn't really have too many options, but this makes it really good. I mean, I can easily see myself running like 3 to 4 of this card and just being totally comfortable with that. It also opens up better sides. Like if you played all black and you had just like Moon, let's say, so like 4 Black Moons of Moria and 6 Blackstones, you can easily side into Dark Alice because you have so much hand removal now that it makes her deactivate a lot more live. I think this card is just crazy. I mean, it's not going to be like overpowered or anything, but we definitely needed something to replace Spiral. Scorn was really good, but it felt a little just, you know, like Reflect came back from it really fast and they would just use Change the World to draw or something, but I'll get to why that won't be so much of a problem soon. The next card I believe they showed was Messenger Familiar. It was a 1-drop 1/1, and it said when this card is put into the graveyard from your field, search your main deck for a 12 Apostle, reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your main deck. This card's actually really incredible as well. Being able to search something like an Adam Broly is really strong. If you're not going too crazy with your colors and you're sticking in just black, you can search Izanami with this. And if we see a nice discard fodder kind of card, maybe like a black kind of Guinevere in the future, or it doesn't have to be that strong, but just something that lets you discard with that in the black genre, being able to search Izanami and discard it is really strong. I think this card's just really good. Black was always missing kind of like a really good 1-drop, and this being a 1/1 that just searches another card is really good, especially if you can somehow fit more Toll Apostles, or if we see another one. I know there's Hades for Darkness as well, but Hades doesn't seem really good, so I'm not too sure how that's gonna work out. But I mean, even just being able to search I think Alice Cyrus is a 12 Apostle as well, but I don't know how you'd want to play red and black together in a Gill Lapis deck. It might be too hard. We'd have to also see, of course, if we're going to be getting dual stones or not. I'm not too sure, but as just a 1-drop card, this card's really good. Then there was the Shift Gill Lapis. The Shift Gill Lapis is absolutely insane. Like, this card is so good. It was a 2 black 1 colorless. It's shift card, of course, and the shift card was like 2 red and 2 colorless. And its original effect on the regular side is when this card enters your field, you may search your main deck for a 12 Apostle and or a card named Attoractia, Dimension of the Seven Kings, reveal them and put them in your hand, then shuffle your main deck. So not only are you able to search both with this card, I'm not too fond of the actual city, but the fact that you could add both to your hand is really, really strong. It's just the fact that being able to search a 12 Apostle is really, really good. We're getting all these 12 Apostle cards that let you fill up your hand, especially Adam Broly, because it's like the only free card we have after Alice Cluster because Cthulhu is gone. So being able to put something on board that might like benefit you from different effects is really, really good. And then the best thing is like in a bad situation where, let's say, you don't have the sackable targets for Adam Broly, or you want to get an Izanami in the graveyard, you can just discard it with this. I still would prefer like a one-drop kind of Guinevere card as a discard fodder, but like this isn't bad at all. If I get a 10-11 for discarding an Izanami and then plus off the Izanami later, I'm totally fine with that. That's so good. I think this card's gonna be really, really relevant. And then to make it even better is the shift side is a 2 red, 2 colorless, of course, because that's the shift cost. It's a 1000, and it has target attack. And it says when this card enters your field or shifts, choose one. You may pay 0 to play shift abilities of target card in a field rather than pay its cost until the end of turn. Or you may put a 12 Apostle from your hand into your field. It gains swiftness until the end of turn. Remove it from the game at the end of turn. This card is just incredible. You can literally, like, if you have a full hand in a deck like Allosaurus, which isn't hard to do because that deck gets cards really quickly, you don't even have to worry about playing the black side of this card. You could just shift into the red side when you use it, like, from your hand as a cast. And you can do so many crazy plays. You can go, like, let's say you Flame King Shouted and use Earther, which is going to be, I think, a really big play in the future. I think Flame King Shouted into Earther is going to be, like, Red's, like, biggest, like, board wipe play. So they're gonna have a lot of cards removed. If anyone has seen my Allosaurus video, they know I use like Dead Side to remove my graveyard, so it's gonna be really easy to get Flame King Shout removed other than by Earther anyway. So you can literally summon this for 4. It's already a 10-10, which is really good. You then summon Allosaurus with its effect, which you could have searched off a Rook Egg. It doesn't even have to be with the black side of this card or with the other black card. You could have easily searched it with just a Rook Egg. Drop the Allosaurus, and then Allosaurus' effect would activate. You would Flame King Shout their whole board, and then drop Earther from your hand, blow something else up, and you'd have 1800 to swing freely with because of Earther and Allosaurus, and then Allosaurus would get removed at the end of the game, at the end of turn, and then you'd be left with the Gill Lapis that's 10-10 and the Earther, and then you could just recycle the Allosaurus late game if you needed by using Ifrit, which is really crazy. Like, anyone who hasn't played Allosaurus doesn't know how quickly that can recycle and how insane of pressure it actually puts on your opponent. These cards are just helping out these like little rogue decks so much. My only worry with this card is that if you make a black Blazer deck, it makes the black side really live, and then you can still flip into the red side. And Blazer's already in a really good place, so I'm kind of worried about what that's gonna do. I don't want kind of to be overwhelmed by what's going on. So I'm hoping it doesn't make Blazer too good, but I still think it wouldn't be as abusable as Allosaurus because of how much Allosaurus recycles. I mean, if I had to do that specific play, I feel like I'd rather do it in Allosaurus and maybe target a different Total Apostle in Blazer. I'm not too sure. I would have to see like what all the options are, but this with Allosaurus already is incredible. It's good with almost anything. I mean, if you drop a Bahamut in attack or a Behemoth or whatever, it now gives you the option of like a quick 1500 swing. If they block, they still take the damage. There's just so much you can do with this card, and I think it's really cool. And then there was the Attoractia, Dimension of the Seven Kings. It was the card he could search that says like, it's like shift 7, and when it enters the field you draw a card, and it's only like 2-drop. And if you shift it, it's it costs 7, but you can of course make it 0 by using Gill Lapis. And the shift side is a Regalia, and it's Illusionary Demonic Globe Attoractia. So what he did is, Gill Lapis lost the Earth, so I guess Alice fights him and kind of either, I don't know if she destroys the globe or somehow restores it, so that Earth comes back. But he takes Attoractia and makes that into his new globe. And essentially the way this card works is it's super situational and it's never going to happen. So you can tap it to remove a target resonator, addition, or regalia with an attribute from the game. And if you've removed, but you can't do it 2 times on the same attribute. So you essentially have to target a water, a fire, a light, a dark, a green, and a void card. And you'd have to target those and remove them from the game. And then the second effect is put 6 cards in any removed area that were removed by this card into the owner's graveyards. You win the game. So it says you win the game twice for anyone that didn't know. So it's just because it was kind of like a mistranslation or like an error with the file. So it's not like you win both games. It's just you win that game. But it's not gonna happen. It's kind of like kind of silly, you know. Oh, here you go. There's another alternative win condition card. I wouldn't play this card. I wouldn't even try to build around it. Maybe one day it'll be like the new Alice World and you'll be able to do that. But I'm hoping we don't get dual stones back, so it makes it harder, because I don't want this to be a thing. I'd kind of be really salty if I lost to something like this. I know there's like Maribel that destroys this card and whatnot, but I'd rather just not have those kind of like cheese wins in the game. I think it was kind of just more for the lore or something. So I also think it's cool that it's 7 cost, because there's like 7 kings. So I think that was really interesting too. But yeah, this card was kind of like not that big of a deal. And then the next card is the card that has everyone just completely deceased. Like everyone is dead by this card. It's called Black Moonbeam, and it's a 2 black, and it's a spell chant instant, and specifically in Ancient Magic for whatever reason. In parentheses it says Ancient Magic, and it says destroy target J ruler. Players can't chase to this card. So this card just single-handedly changed the entire way we're gonna play Force of Will. A lot of people don't like this card, but I actually really like it. A lot of people are saying that like what makes Force of Will so great is that, you know, it has this ruler mechanic. It's what sets it apart from all the other games. It's not, you know, like, it's something that makes Force of Will special, but I don't think the ability of your J ruler dying to a card this powerful changes how special Force of Will is because of using your J ruler. I also think that it kind of foreshadows a lot of what we might see in the future. Jordan has been saying a lot that J rulers are going to get stronger enter effects, so that if they're removed from the game, you didn't kind of like lose your card for no reason. But the thing I don't mind about this card is, if you think about it, let's say Gill Lapis, for example, is a 14/14 with Pitch Black Moon, and it costs 3 to deactivate. A 3 cost card can easily win you the game because he's so hard to remove, and being able to swing for 14/14, even though you did invest in making him your ruler, kind of feels like free. Like if your ruler at any point removes cards your opponent controls, you didn't use any cards from your hand for that or anything by that means. You kind of just had it on the field and you were able to put it in the field and gain effects for it without investing anything except for mana. But that can kind of get you 2 ahead in the game. So having a card that could punish you for trying to use your J ruler as a win condition doesn't seem bad to me. I think we might be seeing a lot of ruler effects in the future that might have activate effects that tap, kind of like Ebony Prophet did with the -3, Dracula had the -3, Lumia had like the tap to gain life, and those kind of effects. We might get to a meta where we're gonna have rulers that we have to consider something like, is my activate effect worth not gaining a stone this turn? Is this something I want to do because I want to avoid getting Black Moonbeamed but still use my ruler to its full advantage? Or maybe is my enter effect going to benefit me enough that when they use this card, I've gained enough advantage to where they're essentially just 1-for-1ing me and I still have the lead? For example, with Machina, if Machina deactivates and puts 3 void cards into the field and they chase with this card, it's not that bad because you still benefited the 3 cards off of Machina. So I think it's gonna hurt decks like if somebody's using Shion and they have her Memoria and they like deactivate early and she dies, and then they tap for a stone and they hit that and her name is no longer Shion, so you like miss the stone. I think it's punishing in that aspect, but I don't particularly think this card is bad, especially with the fact that you can argue that Wind Secluded Refuge does counter this card. It's kind of like, you know, at least there's a card out there that does specifically work against it, instead of just having no answer whatsoever. So this card is like, I'm really happy with this card. I think this card is actually extremely necessary. I kind of hate how good J rulers have been recently, and I mean, I don't think this was specifically made to kill Reflect. Everyone's saying like, oh, Reflect's broken, so they had to make another Reflect over an overpowered card that kills Reflect to kind of like balance it. But people need to understand that like when Forcible works on these sets, they make them in clusters. So it's when we're getting SKL, it's quite possible that this card was already printed and they already know that, you know, we're gonna need a card that stops J rulers. Regalias are really strong, and that's what I like about it too. Like, if you use J rulers and you have a bunch of Regalias to use rulers in Moria, and I take out your ruler, you're just drawing into dead Regalias, and I think that's really punishing, and I think that's how it should be. Regalias have always been free, and it's kind of annoying for people to be able to like use Change the World so easily and like draw and search and do everything with Reflect for no reason. Like, they're not investing any actual time into it or any actual like thought process, because Change the World just sits there and does everything on its own. And so to be able to punish them for it seems really good. Like, if you're using Gill and you have this card, it's like you already can't use Change the World freely because you have to pay 1. I have Space-Time Collapse to deal with your Change the World and your Regalia, and if you flip your ruler, you're gonna lose it. So you now, maybe you have to use Reflect smarter. Maybe the Scry effect is going to be the most important part. Something like, we won't have the mana base for like Hung Long, but let's say using a deck like Hung Long that's really, really strong. The filter effect is everything in that deck because you want to put the Sacred Beast away. That alone might make Reflect worth using him as a ruler, even if you decide not to Change the World and you just had a different mana base and didn't have rulers Moria. But Reflect's still always going to have a use because of the +2, for example. Necrolance doesn't use the Change the World. A lot of them, I think they do now in the new meta, but I've seen Necrolance versions that don't use Change the World. It's not as necessary in that deck. And it's like, you know, that deck still benefits from Reflect even if you never flip. Of course, flipping and searching helps a lot, but it's not super necessary because you still trigger Landslot. There's just, I feel like there's a lot that goes into it, and I feel like people like to kind of exaggerate. I think this card's gonna, and the thing is too, is because it only destroys a J ruler, I feel like people are gonna side this and not main it. I mean, if you main it and like you're playing against Tree, it's like you have a completely dead card. So we're just gonna, I guess, have to see how it goes. Moving on to the next card, there was Collapsing World. It was a 2 black, 3 colorless, and it's a field, and it says at the beginning of each player's turn, that player banishes a Resonator. The art for this card was completely insane, but I don't think it's that good. It was like Yggdrasil being split in half by like a moon, which is like just insane. But, I mean, Tsukiyomi destroys this card, it's not even like a moon, and there's like Bless Holy Wolf and stuff, so it just seems really, really, really slow, especially because it's such a high cost. If it was like 3 or 4, I would say maybe it's playable, but 5 seems really, really, really costly. I've been thinking that we're probably going to get like a random card that puts fields into play to replace Speaker, so it's quite possible maybe we'll have a card that puts this card into play, but I'm not sure. As of right now, it doesn't seem too strong or anything like that. But yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think, especially about Black Moonbeam. I want to, maybe I'm missing something about it that it might be better than I think in a certain aspect. I get where most people are coming from, but I think it's a really necessary card. So definitely let me know how you guys feel about that. The new Spiral of Despair, the Dark Storm, mention that as well because I think that card's really, really relevant. I'm also anticipating that green is going to get some kind of really, really good counter. I think green so far has been kind of falling behind. Light has gotten a lot of support. I'm waiting for the blue because I think the blue is going to be really good as well. But green isn't going to be able to control this much pressure. So I'm thinking green's going to get something really good too. Maybe the reflect and the green reflect addition to the white reflect. Maybe that was what green was supposed to get. But that card didn't seem too good with cards like Flame King Shout in the meta. So we'll have to see. And I think only like Hagia can play that because she has green and white. So we'll have to see. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll definitely catch you guys next time.